No, I'm really happy to introduce Jaclyn Madden, Associate Professor of Biology and Biotechnology at Harford Community College in Maryland. She's going to talk about biotech pathways and building interest and opportunities through engagement and collaborative pathways. So a new program, new certificates, and good connections with high schools. Take it away, Jackie.
Thank you, Sandra. So I'm Jaclyn Madden. I'm from Harford Community College in Bel Air, Maryland. And I'm the PI on the grant Expanding Pathways from High School into the Biotechnology Workforce. We're almost midway through, I guess now, our second year of our grant. So this is our Biotech Pathways team. So from the college, we also have Dr. Pamela Pape Lindstrom, Dr. Susan Walker, Ms. Brianna Martin. Then we're all working together on this project. And then we have an evaluation team from the NISER Institute at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Dr. Sandra Lowe Ray and Ms. Nicole Jones. And so they've been supporting us in this process. So the idea for our Biotech Pathways project is really to increase opportunities for individuals who are interested in biotechnology and in lab type careers. So we've traditionally at Harford Community College had an associate's degree of biology so that it's really a transfer degree so that we can have students go on and get their bachelor's. And we were really seeing that we don't have kind of that 2-year degree that feeds into the industry. And in our area, we're kind of in the middle of the I-95 corridor. So, you know, an hour or so from Montgomery County and an hour and a half from Philadelphia. Delaware is right up across the line from us. So we have a lot of opportunities for biotechnology, including in our own county and a neighboring county I'll talk about at the end. So we want to give students different types of opportunities. And we had a certificate program, but it really was not what students were looking for. Most of our students were looking for some type of degree. And so we created this pathway where we have the 3 components, our public high schools, our college, and then students moving into either 4-year institutions or biotechnology careers. And we're focusing in these 3 different areas through our components of our grant. And so I'm going to talk about how we're trying to work with the high schools to recruit, as well as the developments we've had in our curriculum that are informed by our Biotech Advisory Board, and how some of those work with our advisory board is also shaping where our students go next. So for our objectives of our goal, the first one we have largely accomplished was to develop an AAS in biotechnology and revise our certificate program to align with industry skills, knowledge, and competencies. And so we have now got an approved program. We also are working to increase the number of students, including those historically underrepresented in STEM, who enroll in and complete our biotech programs, and also ensure that those students that go through our programs have the real skills that they need, not just field specific, but also career readiness skills. And so we're trying to incorporate those things into our curriculum as well. So our first part of our first mode of what we needed to do was to develop the curriculum and get approved programs so we could start recruiting into them. And so we worked with our biotechnology advisory board, and we created a very simple survey and sent it out to them before our first board meeting. And we asked them to rate on a scale from of how many or how they thought different techniques were important to their fields. And so we had different types of skills like basic lab skills or bioinformatics. And we asked them if it was something that was not applicable to their field at all, if they just needed like a basic knowledge of this is what it is, some limited experience where they might have tried it once or twice, or if it was something they should be able to use on a daily basis. And we used that information to help us create what courses we wanted to have and what learning objectives we would need. We also wanted to ask them about professional skills because we know that our students are going to be going directly into industry possibly. And so again, whether it was less important, moderately important, or very important for those different types of professional skills. And we also asked them if they had any additional things that they wanted to add. And so this was really useful for us as kind of solidifying what we wanted to do in our courses. So from that, we developed our new AAS in biotech and revised our certificate. And so through this process, we created 6 new biotechnology courses. And we wanted to provide some flexibility within the degree, particularly with things like mathematics. Students that are planning to move on to a four-year school, we have them the opportunity to take things like calculus that might be required, whereas those who are not, we know calculus can sometimes be one of those barriers to success. And so we wanted to provide things, options in things like statistics. And we also have a new data science program and allow them that opportunity to participate in some of those courses. So I'm going to go ahead and focus. Oh, I forgot about this. We were approved finally by the Maryland Higher Education Commission in November of last year. And so we are officially up and running and full speed ahead now. So I'm not going to read over all of these. These are our program goals, and they're really set around a lot of the goals that individuals would have or other institutions would have around those technologies and techniques. And like John, we really want to also focus on that role of biotechnology in society and making sure that our students can communicate as scientists, and also the ethical and responsible conduct of research is a key component of our course work as well. So I'm going to focus on just our first two classes. We actually started with a cohort of 5 students in the fall, even before we were officially a program. And they participated in our Intro to Biotech course. And now those students plus one more are participating in our second course, which is Microbial Biotechnology. And we decided to engage them right away in some course-based undergraduate research through part of the phages program. Phage therapy is kind of an area of interest in Maryland with companies like Adaptive Phage Therapeutics that are located, and also they're part of our advisory panel. And so we wanted to provide some opportunities for students to learn about that type of technology, as well as give them the hands-on skills. And so our students have participated in this now, and all of the groups have found phage, and so they're now working on bioinformatics and genome annotation in that microbial biotech course. Some other opportunities we're trying to produce, part of that pathway is some of our students may want to go directly into work. We'll talk about that in a second, but also some may want to go on for 4-year degrees or beyond. And so we've been working really hard to try to find some articulation agreements and transfer agreements with some of the 4-year schools. And right now we have a pretty solid draft agreement with the University of Maryland Global Campus for their BS in Biotechnology. We're just waiting to get all the signatures on it, so we're pretty excited about that. And we're also trying to work with UMBC Shady Grove. They have a translational life science technology bachelor's program to see if we can get our students into those kinds of programs to provide flexibility that students might be wanting. So our grant has given us the opportunity to, in addition to develop all of this coursework and purchase equipment that we need for our program, to provide some additional opportunities for students. And so we have funds to pay students that participate in internships, whether those are through the summer or through the coursework of the course of the semester, because we really want students to have that industry experience and kind of get their foot in the door. So we're already working with 2 students as a part of our educational partnership agreement with DevCom CBC at Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is right here in our county. Aberdeen Proving Ground is our major employer in Harford County, Maryland, and they have a lot of the chemical biological work being done there. And so we've really seized on this opportunity to partner with them to create some additional opportunities for students. So we're getting some background checks done, so hopefully those 2 students can start soon. And we're going to continue to work with our other partners. And if it's a paid internship through the company, that's great. But if it's not, we have some funds to pay our students so that they're not just working in fast food jobs for the summer, that they're actually able to pay their bills and work in a job that's going to get them somewhere in their careers. We're also working with the Bioscience Core Skills Institute. That's part of my craziness today. we are actually hosting a micro-credentialing workshop for faculty who want to be evaluators. And the idea is that we will be able to then provide opportunities for our students to get micro-credentialed to show industry that they have the skills in things like micropipetting and serological pipetting, lab and math, those kinds of things, and really start to hopefully build that buy-in from industry in the state of Maryland that our associate's degree students really have what they need for their careers. So a little more about our partnership, that educational partnership agreement. This is really going to provide some opportunities for our students to actually not just tour the facilities there at APG, but also participate there and maybe participate in some additional training sessions for faculty and for staff, for students that are there. And we're really excited because it's the first time that we've really had this strong agreement with DevCom CBC, and it's just going to provide some additional opportunities. They're looking to build up their biomanufacturing facilities there. So hopefully that will also provide some additional opportunities for our students and jobs. Along those lines, we're also working with some other companies that are up and coming and in Cecil County, which is right next to us. And we're going to work with them to determine if we have a need for more of a biomanufacturing certificate that might be a smaller certificate that would allow students to complete in maybe a year and enter into some of those entry-level biomanufacturing jobs that are going to be coming into our area. So the final part is kind of this outreach and recruiting. So how are we getting students into our programs? We're really pushing hard to work with our local schools. So we're working with the local high schools and we're providing 3 different types of outreach activities. These activities are meant to inform people about what biotechnology is, also give them some hands-on training, and hopefully let them know about our programs and options in biotech careers in the state of Maryland. So our biotech pathways workshops, we've had some that were virtual because of COVID, and we've been able to start some face-to-face and have some more planned for this semester. And we're going out to the high schools as a part of this, trying to meet students where they are. And we're really focusing on not just bringing in the students, but also having them come with a parent or guardian, because we know that family members really play a big influence in students' career decisions. And so informing parents of the types of programs we have and the jobs that are out there is really important to us, we think, in providing these opportunities for students to continue to progress in biotech careers. These involve hands-on activities. So we had students participating, and you can see parents are participating as well, to give them ideas of what it's like to work with pipettes and just a little more of an idea of what biotechnology is all about. This summer, we will host our first Biotech Pathways Summer Institute. This is also for high school students. We're asking that they have completed a bio class just because it's going to be a lot more in depth than our general information sessions at the workshops. And what we're doing with those is we're going to have them do some hands-on research activities and hopefully do a little mini presentation the last day. It's a week-long session, and hopefully do a presentation that last day to share with their family members or peers what they've learned during that process. And the last will be our Biotech Pathways Teaching Academy. So reaching out to high school STEM educators in the area and providing professional development in a 2-day workshop about biotechniques, advances in biotechnology, and pedagogy around teaching those techniques, because we need to partner with those high school educators in order to get the word out about what biotechnology is and about our programs. As a part of this, we have some target schools. We have a school that's in a very rural area of our county, as well as 4 other schools that have higher percentages of minority students or minority majority students, or have students that are less likely going into college anywhere, in order to provide them with those opportunities. So we've been surveying, and I'm going to be very brief about this. Part of it, we want to collect information, and we've been finding that we are seeing great growth in our students, our participants in those workshops, understanding of what biotech is, about career options, and about what our programs are at HCC. So for next steps, we want to continue our biotech pathways outreach programs and continue to build those collaboration with our public schools. We're also looking to increase awareness about our programs in biotechnology by increasing our social media presence. So I'm working on developing Instagram and LinkedIn pages, as well as a specific website. We're also, as I said, working on those bioscience core skills institute credentialing for our students and possibly for the high school students that come in our summer program, maybe getting them one of those micro credentials so that they come away with something that is meaningful for them. And continuing to build our relationships with industry because we know that those partnerships are going to increase our internships and increase recognition of our students' skills so that we can find great job placements for our students in the end. And I'm going to leave us with our what we called our phage dance this year. We like to have a little bit of fun in the lab, and that was one of my students very excited about finding phage. So.
Thanks, Jackie. I think you have to get that student to set up a talk account.
I think so. I think I told him I would like to use it once we get our Instagram going on there, the phage dance, and he seemed open to that idea. So
yeah, and definitely follow Laney College on Instagram.
Yes, I do. Yep.
Their biomanufacturing program, they have the best Instagram account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, before we get to the questions, I'm just going to, I want to let you know we are going to have, we do need your help with filling out the evaluation. I made a shorter URL because I understand that you can't copy the chat. I thought we'd fix that, but not yet. Anyway, so it's easier to type. And I think let's get to questions. Let's see here. We have, I'll go through the chat and find them. We have a couple comments. One is that Todd commented that it's great to see some of the students at university have gone on to University of Delaware Sequencing Center, a core lab, right? And that's what the talk is going to be all about next week. So that's really nice to hear. And people are glad that you're putting bioethics in, John, which is good. I think we've got some questions for Jackie a little bit farther down. Yeah, the question from Michael is if you're doing all 5 areas of the BCSI micro credentials with your students or just starting with 2 or 3 key ones?
Yeah, so I think we're going to try to, within the period of the 2 years, get them through those through all 5 core areas. It's pretty new to us. I literally took the test this morning at 8 o'clock to get credentialed myself so that we can develop, become an evaluator. That's tomorrow's training. So hopefully I passed everything and we can get started on that. But we're working with colleagues at other community colleges in the state. So the way that BSCI does their program, or BCSI, I'm sorry, does their program, they train you as evaluators, and then you can't evaluate your own students, but you can kind of swap with other institutions in the area. So we're hosting some of our colleagues from Frederick Community College and Montgomery College today, and they're getting trained as well so that we can then be reciprocating those evaluation duties. So I think it's going to depend as we continue to develop our curriculum. I mean, this year, my students are probably only prepared maybe for 2 or 3 of them, but by the end of the 2nd year of the program, those students should be able to pass all 5 of those core credentials. I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, yeah. And Michael also says he loves the idea of having high school students in the summer pick up BCSI micro-credential.
Yeah, that's something that we had been kind of tossing around in either micropipetting or maybe one of the safety protocols to give them an opportunity to come away with something. And I think that if you give them something that they can say, yeah, you can put this on a resume, that might draw them in a little bit more. We all get proud that we have this credentialing. So I think it's really important to give that to our students as they're going away from that program.
Oh, that's neat. So if anybody would like, if you'd like to show your video, turn your video mute off and show yourself and ask questions. I think I've gone through all the ones in the chat.
Oh, I had a question for Jackie. What? First of all, I was really happy that we were paired with each other. So I met Jackie, I think, right before we started doing a lot of gene editing stuff. But Jackie came to the second ever workshop that we did, so drove up to do it, which was fantastic. But my question was about the workshops that you did with the high school students. You mentioned that they were doing research projects, and I was just interested, I think, research engagement in science is really important. And I was curious what the projects were that you were getting them involved with.
So it's funny you should ask. We're actually considering using CRISPR, John, as one of the summer projects, as well as possibly some synthetic biology. And so we want to keep it. That's why we said that we would like to have them have taken at least a biology class so they know what DNA is, at least at a very fundamental level, as we're going into these. But yeah, CRISPR is actually one of the areas that we're interested in. So you may be hearing from me about that science that summer.
I would love to hear that. And we did not discuss this ahead of time. So that
really didn't.
Although it worked out really well, but.
Yeah, so that's one of the areas we're looking, something that would be able to be done in a week's period of time, and take them through kind of start to finish on a project, as well as teach them some of those basic skills and give them practice with it.
Really cool. Have you been able to bring in any phage work that you're doing? I know that, as you mentioned, that's a big interest of a number of companies in Maryland right now.
Yeah. So we're doing the phage work in the courses here at the college, but we haven't run the summer institute yet. That our first one is, we had to kind of postpone it because of COVID last year. So we haven't done that yet, and it's more of a big project. So I don't know that it would be appropriate what we're doing with the phages, for a high school audience at this point, and it's a much longer project. But we do talk about phage therapy. So when I give my workshops, I kind of start off with some of the hot topics in biotechnology and take them from some of the early things like vaccine development and fermentation, and kind of give them a real quick overview of where we were to where we are now and some of those applications. And so one of the things I have used as an application is the phage therapy. And I've also talked about it a little bit in my Gen Bio classes, and I've got a couple students who are like, that's really cool. Now I want to do biotechnology. So hopefully that they will follow through on that. But I think it is a very interesting topic. It's, can be tied into antimicrobial resistance and a lot of different things. And so we're hoping to use that and possibly have a speaker come out maybe during the summer camp as well to tell students about it.
You could have them read Perfect Predator too.
I know, that's a great book. So.
Linnea.
So I wanted to mention, if you talk to Daisy at Del Mar, you'll see that their students do the phage project, and they actually had a project for the Innovation Challenge, which, by the way, is going on right now, or you can start with a project for the Community College Innovation Challenge, which is funded by NSF. And the student developed essentially a phage for a marine bacteria causes fouling. And so that was really, in fact, it won #1 for the Innovation Challenge. And then I believe they worked on commercialization of it. So the phages can be used for other things too, besides medical.
So we're interested in maybe tying in some of the agriculture, if there's some agricultural uses, because we're a pretty big agricultural area as well.
That would be really good.
And even I think protecting against phage, because I remember problems with like yogurt production and stuff with having phage that would attack lactobacillus. So there's a question for you, John. Getting more information about the CRISPR workshops. I know you answered
Yes,
it.
I was finishing typing in the chat. So I'm sorry, I couldn't get over to hit the space bar fast enough, but I've put my email. So if you email me, I will make sure that you are on the list. Innovate Bio has always been fantastic, Sandy, to getting the message out when we have that to everybody else, but I'm happy to, speak and answer any questions that you may have.
There was a question too, if there are opportunities for international students.
In what way, Sandy?
I'm not really sure.
Well, there's always opportunity for international students in community college biotech programs. I know that a large percent of my students are international. And in fact, they usually show up as cohorts. So for a while, I had students from Russia, and then I had students from India. And so there's always that possibility at the community colleges.
And John, who are you asking about the state Inbrief grant?
Like I said, I'm having all kinds of Zoom issues this week, so I'm copying pasting from a variety of places. So I'm putting my email in chat. So for anybody who may be interested, it will be there momentarily.
Okay, more questions.
I have a question. Sorry if there's some background noise. I have some equipment running, so I'll try to mute myself again as soon as possible. Jaclyn, did you have to do anything special within your administration, in setting up these high school programs? I'm trying to develop more relationships with our local high school biotech programs. We do actually have some cool credit stuff going on. But I've been told, I'm very new, I've been told that we have to do a lot of, we can't just go into a high school and set something up. So I'm sure my institution will have something specific. I was wondering what your experience was.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we're learning to navigate that system. But it is more complex sometimes than you think it would be. So what we did though, is part of our biotech advisory board, we included someone from the public schools on our advisory board. And so he is the science coordinator for the school district, in charge of the the high school STEM education. And so he's our point of contact and liaison. And so that provided us with that channel to go through the proper ways of vetting what goes out to people as well as where information comes in. And so that's been helpful to make the connections. And just if I have questions and, we have, if we're going to high schools, we haven't been doing them during the day, we've been in the evenings because we really want parents or guardians to come with the students. We're encouraging that for them to learn more as well. And so we're keeping it later in the evening, usually like 6:30 to start time so that families can get there. And so there's like a use of facilities form and a whole process that you have to go through in order to go out to those places. We've also have a permission form to make sure that, we're covered that way with some basics. And we send out laboratory, since we're doing a hands-on activity, we send out like a laboratory safety to participants when they register so that they have to bring a signed copy and make sure a parent has signed it and those kinds of things to kind of have those legal protections. For the summer program, we're finding out that because they're coming here, there's actually a whole system of we have a summer camps that are run here at the college anyway, and there's a whole system that you have to go through to make sure that you have all the correct paperwork and everything like that when you're doing like a week-long day camp. And so we've been lucky enough to work with our camp coordinator, and they're going to have, once we identify our students, they will work with them to complete all of that proper documentation and legalese. So we're collecting the applications and we'll select our applicants. And then from there, they will go through their process to make sure that we have all of the forms. But, we were hoping to provide like transportation from a couple areas for students. And that's a whole thing that we didn't even know that, with background checks and all sorts of things. So, so that kind of got nixed. That was part of our original planning. But we're hoping to kind of, as we continue to work through, if we continue this into the future, can find ways to work through some of those issues so that we can bring in particularly individuals that wouldn't have the transportation to get here and be more inclusive in our program. It's just going to take a little more time than we probably thought to work some of that out.
Jackie, I know you've just started this, but have you gotten any students yet from the high schools?
When we did our virtual trainings, we did 3 sessions last year virtually, and I think we had a total of about 10 students from high schools. We had more sign up than actually came, but that's you get that. But we got better turnout than I expected for virtual workshops. When we opened up in a 2-week period of time for our first face-to-face, we had to actually, we were hoping to get like 10 students. We had 20 people sign up in 2-week period of time, and plus their parents, and we got 17 of them actually showed. So we were amazed by the turnout on that. So hopefully that continues and we can get some students recruited through that. But it's you know, it's going to take time, and hoping, you know, to continue to get the administrative support as we take time to build this, because it's going to take a few years to get up and running at the numbers, hopefully, that we would like to get to. So
No,
So,
that's neat. Sorry.
so Jackie, from your evaluation from those workshops, what would you say was the most interesting part of the workshops for the parents and the students? What did
So
they like best?
unfortunately for the face-to-face, they did not, we didn't have good turnout on the completing of the evaluation at the end. So we're going to change our strategy next time and try to get them to complete it there, and maybe give some swag out for showing that they actually finished, you know, yeah, we finished it here. You know, you get something to take with you as some encouragement. But, you know, I think that the positive, they really did enjoy the hands-on activity. Some said they would have liked to go even more in depth into what the activity was showing and some of the biotech things, which was surprising to me, that they were like, yeah, we want that more. We want more in depth. We want more explanation. You know, so that was good to see as well. But we need to collect a little more data before I feel like I can fully answer that question, because our response rate was pretty bad from those 17. So live and learn, finish your surveys there. So
I think it's so neat that you're involving parents. I don't know, do many other people do that?
You know, there's a lot of research to kind of show that, you know, one of the big things is the families play a major influence. And so we kind of modeled after some of the research we saw with dental program, I think was one of them, where they were trying to recruit particularly underrepresented students, historically underrepresented in those programs, and the roles that family members play and where students really make their decisions on careers. And people not knowing that what biotech is and thinking Frankenfruit, you know, kind of thing from the start. I think it's really important to let them know, you know, that you're using things from biotech every day that they don't even think about, and making those connections a little more real for them. And unfortunately, you know, we have COVID, but fortunately at the same time, it's kind of opened up a lot of people's eyes to some biotech things, for better or worse. So.
Well, I think we have time for one more question, but I'd like to remind people that we can continue this conversation on Slack. And I did post the Slack invitation in chat. And as Jackie mentioned, those evaluations really are important. And I'm going to post that in the chat one more time too. So any more questions?
I had a question for Jackie. You mentioned you're going to do a teaching academy with high school STEM educators for a couple of days. And I'm curious, what are you going to be doing with them? So if they're a biology teacher or a chemistry teacher, are you giving them experiences that they can bring back to their classroom? Is it lab-based, or what curriculum are you using?
Yeah, and so we're still in the planning stages on that one. We're a little more further along in our high school ideas, but that's kind of like on the this week and next week, get those learning objectives established kind of thing. We want to find ways that are going to be meaningful. And so we do have some bio faculty, parts of like the biomedical program and stuff, who are actually adjuncts at the college. And so one of the things I'd like to talk with them about is, how could you know, what do you see as a need, and kind of shape it from there, as how we can make this meaningful for the faculty. So we're trying to gain a little information as we continue planning that process. So I don't have a good answer yet. So hopefully within the next month, I'll have a better answer for that one.
Well, I'd like
We're
to.
working on.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I work with Linnea and Sandy on the leadership team for Innovate, and we're working specifically on high school pathways. So I'll shoot you some emails about some things we've been doing curriculum-wise with high school biology and chem teachers.
Awesome. I would love any resources you can give me. So we don't want to to have to reinvent the wheel completely here. So
And
Yes.
Michael, we've invited her to join our hub.
Come on in. The hub water's fine. Yeah.
Michael's got some great resources on teaching about careers too.
awesome.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank our speakers, John and Jackie. This has really been wonderful. Everybody has emails. You can also find them at the Innovate Bio site, and we can continue talking about things on Slack. And I hope to see you next week when we learn about a grant that's getting written and learn more about careers in university and company and government core labs and the Army core labs as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, John, Jackie.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.